It's time for Health Futures with Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth. This is Arizona's only show dedicated to providing you with expert advice on how to live a longer, healthier, and happier life. To learn more, call 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Bob Roth.
Good afternoon. You're listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and it is Friday. Of course it's Friday. We come at you live every Friday right here on Money Radio. And we're coming at you live from the Money Radio studios here in the Scottsdale Air Park. And you can find us at 1510 AM, 105.3 FM, or on the World Wide Web at moneyradio1510.com. If this is the first time you're tuning in, Health Futures is a show about how our older adult population can live a healthier, happier life. And we've been privileged to bring you this show now for 5 years. And we probably have about 225 shows that are already in the can and can be found right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Click on the button on the far right that says Media. The third button down is Radio Shows, and you'll be able to catch this show and, like I said, about 225 others. And the show is really not about me. It's about the guests I bring, and today is no different. Today I got two extraordinary guests here, one in the studio and one that is coming to you from the phone lines, and the phone lines are really crisp here. So our guest here on the phone line sounds like she is here in our studio, but she's actually back in Minnesota where it's really probably nice fall, chilly weather. So without further ado, I want to introduce the guest that's right here in front of me. That's Charmaine Roberts. She is the Community Relations Associate over at Belmont Village Senior Living, and they are located right there off of Frank Lloyd Wright. They've been here in the Valley. You guys have been there for, what, 5, 6 years, 7 years?
Actually, we're 6.5 years.
6.5 years. Well, welcome to the show, Charmaine.
Thank you.
It's good to have you.
Pleasure to be here.
And bringing you at you live from the telephones, I've got Mary Lenard. She's the executive director of a company called Giving Voice Initiative. Thank you for joining us, Mary.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me.
It's good to have you here on the show. Now, Charmaine's a repeat guest. She's been here on the show before, and she has been here with her executive director, and she's been here with some other guests from Belmont, from other places across the country. Belmont Village is not just located here. They've got multiple locations throughout the U.S., but predominant strength is in the West Coast. You got a great presence there in California.
Yes, we have 10.
You got 10. Wow.
Communities.
So, and one of the reasons why we are talking to Mary and we're talking to Charmaine today is we're promoting an event that is coming up on Thursday, November 8th. And it is going to be held at the Valley of the Sun JCC from 1 to 3 p.m. And if you're not sure where that is, that's at 12701 North Scottsdale Road. It's right at about Scottsdale Road and Sweetwater. And that Valley of the Sun JCC is a phenomenal community center. It's been there for over 16 years. And my family all are members, and we love that facility. But the other great thing about this facility is they do really good, great outreach programming for the community. And this is no different. They got this event coming up next Thursday. It's called Get Your Groove On, Music and the Mind. And it's a partnership between Belmont Village Senior Living, the Banner Alzheimer's Institute, the JCC, and AARP, and yours truly, Mary Lenard's going to be here in Phoenix, Arizona next Thursday, representing the Giving Voice Initiative. We're also going to have Olivia Hawk, and she's from Cardin Children's Medical Center. And then we got Frank Thompson, and he's with the Arizona Rhythm Connection. And I wanted just to make everyone clear, music is something that is so treasured to our older adults, especially older adults that are challenged with dementia and Alzheimer's. And they say listening to and playing music can make you smarter, happier, healthier, and more productive in all stages of your life. So come hear about how music enhances the form and function of your brain and how it can be of comfort to the Alzheimer's brain. Just Join us for this discussion, this session, this event from 1 to 3, November 8th, 2018. And Mary, I want to punt over to you because this is something that you're very passionate about, and you've got this company called Giving Voice Initiative. I'd like to learn a little bit about how you got into this business. So if you wouldn't mind, take our listening audience into how Giving Voice Initiative came to be.
Sure, Bob. Thank you. Well, Giving Voice Initiative is a nonprofit. It is about 3 years old now, which is hard to believe, but we started in late 2014. My background is really with the Alzheimer's Association of Minnesota, North Dakota. And after I left there, a friend and I, over a glass of wine one night, both of us wanted to do something with arts and Alzheimer's. And I had become more and more interested in how music and Alzheimer's mixed. Right about the time we were getting together over this glass of wine, the documentary Alive Inside. I'm not sure if you're familiar with it, Bob.
I am. I was going to mention it because, when we talk about the brain and music and Alzheimer's, that is a movie to see. Alive Inside.
Definitely.
It really is. So go ahead. I'm sorry.
So, yes. So that is where the social worker, Dan Cohen, puts iPods on people in nursing homes, and they literally wake up. This is music that's stored in their brain from when they were younger, and they just come alive, literally, from this music. And we were really inspired by that. And right about that time, an article across my desk came from the University of San Diego that basically said, Alzheimer's patient's brain boosted by singing familiar music. And I called my friend and I said, well, what if we started a choir? What if people came together and sang these familiar songs? And wouldn't that be amazing? And we got kind of enamored with this idea that this is a strength that people with Alzheimer's still have. And we learned that music, just from a little bit of research, is preserved in a part of the brain, music is preserved, that's not damaged by Alzheimer's until late stages. So this was exciting, but we wanted to see if this would work. We had no idea. We got a little bit of money, and we called some people together, and about 4 years ago now, we had our very first rehearsal in September of 2014, and I knew in the first 15 minutes when these 30 people, half of which had Alzheimer's and half of them were caregivers, came and sang together some familiar songs, that we would have a chorus. Wow. And we've learned a lot since then, and I can tell you more about what we've learned, but there's something special, not just about listening to music that you know, but actually singing music that stimulates a lot of the brain and the mood and things like that.
Wow. It is incredible. And that Alive Inside, Dan Cohen, who really was the creator of that, and as you mentioned, Mary, these iPods, they depict, and early on in that movie, I remember seeing this African-American gentleman who was completely, I guess the word would be, he was almost like, he was like comatose. I mean, he was slumped over in his chair and non-responsive, and he slips on these headphones, and literally this guy comes alive. And the coolest thing about it is when they take the headphones off, I don't know how long it is, but it's certainly minutes afterwards. The connections are still there, and then slowly they creep back into that state, and it's just so amazing that music piece to our brain is the one that is still present and still alive inside these people. Thus, the name Alive Inside. So, what is the Giving Voice Initiative? And what are you doing here in Phoenix? I know that there's a choir that you're working with here too. I mean, you're not just coming for this big event. Can you share that with us?
No. So Giving Voice's mission is to inspire and equip organizations around the world, actually, to bring together people with Alzheimer's and their care partners to sing in these new choruses And this fosters joy, well-being, and community understanding. And we've been operating now for the past 3 years, 3 of these courses in the Twin Cities, and we've helped launch another 25 courses across the country. And actually, even in 2 countries, Canada and Australia, we've helped launch courses there. So we're really excited to be coming to the Phoenix area and partnering with Banner Alzheimer's Institute to see if we can start some of these courses in the Phoenix area.
Nice. And I think, you know, one of the things that I have down in my notes that you're doing a course called Sing for Life, which is going to be based at the Pinnacle Presbyterian Church, North Scottsdale.
Correct. That will be our first one. I think we have a commitment from Pinnacle Presbyterian to host that chorus, and we're just beginning to work with them. And they already have a name, Sing for Life. And we'll be putting more information out into the community about starting that chorus. And what's interesting about Giving Voice choruses is that there's no audition. You don't have to know how to sing. You have a person with Alzheimer's or any kind of dementia at any stage signs up with a care partner, and they come together. And this chorus is formed by singing familiar music. Could be hymns, could be Broadway shows, could be Beatles. And so the music director there, David, will form a chorus of whoever comes to Sing for Life. And then the goal will be to have that chorus actually do a public performance. So the chorus will work together to sing these songs and then perform them for the community.
I love it. Absolutely love it. And if we could, maybe when we come back, we could talk about, you know, our listening audience, if they want to get connected to the Pinnacle Presbyterian Church, maybe you can share with our listening audience how to do that. I don't know if you can hear the music on your end, but on our end, we got a little Bruce Springsteen taking us out on the first segment. Mary Lenard, Charmaine Roberts, and your host, Bob Roth. We're bringing it to you live from the Air Park studios of Money Radio. Stick around. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and if you're just tuning in, we're on our second segment. And we have got in the studio Charmaine Roberts. She's the Community Relations Associate with Belmont Village Senior Living right here in Scottsdale. And I've got on the phone, I've got Mary Lenard. She is the Executive Director for Giving Voice Initiative. And in our first segment, we were really talking about this great event that's coming up next Thursday right at the Valley of the Sun JCC. It's called Get Your Groove On, Music in the Mind. And we've got Mary Lenard, who's going to be there. Frank Thompson, he's with the Arizona Rhythm Connection. And we got Olivia Hawk, who's from the Cardin's Children's Medical Center. And the three of them are going to be there, and we're going to learn a lot about music and the mind. And if you want to RSVP, go to V as in Victor, O as in Oscar, S as in Son, jcc.org/Groove On. We also talked in the first segment, we talked about Mary's passion for this business and how she got started with Giving Voice Initiative. And, you know, Mary, touche for coming up with this with a glass of wine. It's amazing what wine. It's amazing what wine can do, you know, and especially in the evening and with good friends. And you know, it's really wonderful to hear how this all got started. And the other thing that she shared with us was the movie that was out probably about 3 or 4 years ago called Alive Inside, that was put together by Dan Cohen, was really one of the impetuses for this. And, you know, we're talking about Alzheimer's disease, and this event that's coming up next Thursday is an event that is co-sponsored by the Banner Alzheimer's Institute, also Belmont Village Senior Living, and the JCC. And, you know, I got to tell you, this disease is awful, and the statistics are very daunting. And for our listening audience, we have another event that's coming up actually tomorrow, and November 3rd down at the Wesley Bowling Plaza is our annual memory walk. And I had the opportunity to chair that for 4 years back in 2005, 6, 7, and 8, I think it was, and to see this thing grow. We usually get about 10,000 walkers, and I'm urging you, if you are doing nothing tomorrow morning, which some of you might not be because it's really early, we kick things off at 7 a.m., and you should come on down and bring your dog, bring your friends, and walk for an incredible cause. 7 a.m., registration opens. The walk starts at 9, and it's down at Wesley Bowling Plaza, right there at 1700 or 17th Street and Washington Street. So please, 17th Avenue, please join us. So I want to get back into talking about the Giving Voice Initiative. And Mary, we talked a lot about why it began, but can you share with our listening audience, how does it work?
Well, it's sort of mystical and magical in some ways. We knew that music was retained in part of the brain that wasn't damaged, but what we didn't understand was that by singing music, there's like a whole fireworks display that happens in the brain. The left and the right hemispheres light up on these MRI studies that show that the brain, singing music uses the whole brain. And so as we started to sing together and people started to feel successful and they were contributing and they would come together every week, we saw a lowering of anxiety and less agitation. We saw people who were less verbal when they came in and were more verbal after singing for 2 hours. People were more in the moment. There was a whole social connection. We did cookies and coffee before and after, and all of a sudden it became like its own community and family, and there's a lot of joy. If you've ever worked with a lot of people with Alzheimer's, you know that a lot of filters go away, and people are much more to be able to be in the moment, and they're so present to each other and to the music. And we've just been surprised that not only can this recalling of familiar music be joyful and fun, but they can learn new music. So we have a very structured rehearsal process, and we try new music along with familiar music, and it's been really successful. We've had hundreds of people come to our concerts. Last summer, we performed at the Ordway Music Festival here in Minneapolis. We had 1,000 people. We sold out in like 5 days, this concert, because no one's ever seen anything like that. We had 170 people, half of which had Alzheimer's, on the stage. And so it's really a powerful, growing way in which people with Alzheimer's can really be part of their community and still contribute.
That's amazing. I mean, it really is. And, I think Alive Inside really is a great descriptor, or description, if you would, which happens to many of these folks that are dealing with this illness and disease. And music just does so much. It brings happiness. It brings joy. There's so much good stuff that music does bring to the soul and just to the mind, body, and spirit. And I know Charmaine broke out some of the music therapy song lists. I mean, Charmaine, you've got a couple circled. Give us a couple couple songs that are part of this portfolio that has been put together by Mary and her team.
Sure. I actually, we start way back, early intervention, with kids. We sing to our children and we teach them songs. And I went through a list and it just, these words are amazing. I now sing to my grandchildren. Mary Had a Little Lamb, or Old MacDonald, Twinkle, Twinkle, Little Star. And then it goes on to children's songs and spiritual, religious, gospel. And another one is the general songs, such as Take Me Out to the Ball Game. Who doesn't know that song, right?
Right. Right. And you were mentioning before, Mary, you were mentioning the Beatles. I mean, who doesn't know Beatles songs, right?
Exactly. And
Yeah.
and then it goes on to musicals, you know, and The Sound of Music, and Somewhere Over the Rainbow. Anyway, it goes on, and it influences our lives, and I think it's just beautiful.
So, you know, now that I've got Charmaine talking, and I know she doesn't love the mic, but I urged her to come into the studio and talk because she's a co-sponsor for this big event that's coming up next Thursday. You know, I wanted to ask you, you know, to tell us about how the Belmont Village Chorus works, you know, and utilizing some of the techniques and the systems that have been created by the Giving Voice Initiative.
Yes.
You could take us through that.
Okay, sure. Well, thank you for that, Bob. We have started a chorus again. We did this before, and now Sunju is part of our program. And the way it works is that currently we have around 16 residents. I'll tell you about Sunju in a moment. We have 16 residents who attend the chorus session twice a month for an hour each session, and that is growing. And the goal is to make our residents feel happy and create this opportunity to increase cognitive and emotional communication as well as the social interactions. And one of the things that I learned is that a fact is that some of the residents go to work on breathing correctly so they get adequate oxygen. So I found that interesting.
Well, I find that interesting, too, because I know I don't breathe correctly. And, I mean, seriously, I learned how to breathe, believe it or not, taking yoga about 15, 16 years ago. Might be now 19 years ago. But, you know, having played athletics all my life, now I know how to breathe. I mean, I probably could have been a superior athlete. I could have been, you know, maybe on the gridiron or maybe playing professional baseball. Now, Bob, you're going to a little extremes here. I know it's Friday afternoon, and it sounds like we got a little bit of Warren Zevon maybe taking us out here. It's hard to believe we're down 2 segments. Mary and Charmaine, thank you so much for being on. We got 2 more segments coming up. It's halftime here at Health Futures. You're listening to Bob Roth, Charmaine, and Mary. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress HomeCare Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, taking stock in you. We got a little Bruce Springsteen bringing us into the second half. And if you're just tuning in, this is our third segment. And you can catch the first 2 if you missed them right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. On the far right, you'll find a media button. Hit the drop down. Third button down is radio show. You'll catch the first 2 segments of this broadcast and about 225 others that we've been bringing to you for the last 5 years. So we are talking to Charmaine Roberts, and Charmaine is the Community Relations Associate over at Belmont Village Senior Living. And I've got on the phone, I've got Mary Lenard. She's the Executive Director for Giving Voice Initiative. And we have been talking about this great event that's coming up next Thursday, November 8th from 1 to 3 p.m. It's at the Valley of the Sun JCC. And if you're not sure where they're located, they're at 12701 North Scottsdale Road. And if you want to sign up, you want to go to V as in Victor, O as in Oscar, S as in Son, jcc.org/Groove On. And I just love that name, Groove On. And you know, we really spent a good part of the first half of our show learning a lot about what the Giving Voice Initiative is. And, you know, if you want to learn more, go out to givingvoicechorus.org. You can learn more about that there, or a number that Mary gave us earlier was 612-440-9660. And I've got Charmaine Roberts here in the studio, and you're doing some of this stuff right there at Belmont Village.
Yes, we are.
And you were telling me about this Sunju,
yes,
who is your very talented music therapist. Can you talk us through that and talk to me about some of the residents that are participating in this program?
Absolutely. So a little background about Sanju. She's very highly respected in our area. In Scottsdale is where we are located. She's extremely talented and a music therapist who has a gift for working with people who have memory impairment, Alzheimer's disease, Parkinson's disease. She initially wanted to be an opera singer, but had changed to music therapy in graduate school. And in 2003, she began her graduate school in vocal performance, but used her work in music therapy to battle her own fears of stage fright. So Sanju works with the Sonoran Sounds, a West Valley senior women's choral group. She also worked as a music therapy preclinical supervisor at ASU, Arizona State University, since 2015, and she is the owner of Sunshine Music Therapy. So just to give you a little more information about how she's working with our residents, it's going exceptionally well. We have men and women who are truly enjoying being a part of this new chorus program. We some of them have experience and others do not. For instance, we have a resident at Belmont Village who recently celebrated her 103rd birthday.
Wow.
And so she comes from a background of chorus. She was a member of the St. Patrick's Choir for 30 years, a member of the community chorus for 10 years, and a volunteer at Scottsdale's Public Library for 17 years. I don't know. That was kind of her life story, but she had a lot of music background. And then on the other hand, we have another resident, a gentleman, who has always listened to music in his apartment, but he just never sang in anything. And so we got him to join the choir or the chorus, and it was his very first time. So the best part is that you don't have to be a professional singer to enjoy the benefits of this exciting and inspirational chorus program with Sanju. So we're happy to have her.
Well, it makes it real for us, for me as the host and our listening audience, to hear these residents that all of a sudden, have this desire or ability or have done this. And now I think the thing that you're looking for more than anything is to engage them. And
Exactly.
engaging them with Sanju and the chorus that you guys have created is truly exceptional. So my next question is, tell us. I'm sorry, I'm going to punt over to really talking about this event, and I want to make sure everyone really understands that it's Get Your Groove On, Music in the Mind at the Valley of the Sun JCC, put on by Belmont Village, Banner Alzheimer's Institute, and the Valley of the Sun JCC. So, Charmaine was taking us through her community and how they are using this program to really engage their residents and really bring, making them alive inside. And, one of the things that really is interesting about what has been created with Giving Voice Initiative is that Mary has done an exceptional job of engaging people that are still living at home. And this is particularly I'm interested in this because that's what we do at Cypress HomeCare Solutions, is we're enabling a lot of our older adults who want to be able to stay at home and still can stay at home by providing them a caregiver. But, whether it's a agency caregiver from Cypress HomeCare Solutions or it's a family caregiver, you are able to use this program, Mary, to engage those that are afflicted with this disease that are at home, correct?
Absolutely. And we know that that people live at home for the early to mid stages of the disease often. And so they're right after diagnosis, they are often living at home, and the caregiver is experiencing some burden, but also trying to find things that they can continue to do in the community and do together. And what we've found is that the benefits of group singing are not just for the person with Alzheimer's, they're also a benefit to the caregivers. They also have a stronger sense of well-being and a higher quality of life. And they actually, the singing together in a choir with your spouse or often a parent who has Alzheimer's, it actually changes the relationship, where they're is less of a care for rather than a sing with. And people will tell us that coming to sing once a week with their partner is like going on a date, and they both enjoy it equally as much. So we see that the chorus is a great way, a great activity to engage both the caregiver and the person with Alzheimer's.
You know, and that is so special, because at Cypress Home Care, we try to do the same thing with the programming that we do with dementia and Alzheimer's, is really keep those partners together. You know, the spouses, or the relationship between the child and their parent, or just family member or friend helping someone through this journey. And, you know,
yes, and they're less isolated.
Yes, less isolated, and keeping them together. And I want to just leave this last message before we break for this third segment. And that is, we know that couples caring for one another, 65 or older, 63% of the time, the caregiver predeceases the care recipient when they are not getting the resources, whether it be caregiving assistance or programming like you're talking about, Mary. Well, we're down 3 segments, Mary and Charmaine. You've been listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. We got one more. Please stick around. We'll be right back.
Now back to Health Futures, taking stock in you. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call 602-264-8009. Now, here's your host, Cypress Home Care Solutions, Bob Roth.
Welcome back. You're listening to Health Futures, Taking Stock in You. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and we are working for the weekend right here at Money Radio Studios, bringing to you Health Futures. And I've got Charmaine Roberts. She's here from Belmont Village. She is the Community Relations Associate. And I've got Mary Lenard, the Executive Director from Giving Voice Initiative. And if you missed the... Thank you very much, Wes, for that cowbell. We are working for the weekend for sure. And if you missed the first 3 segments, you can catch them right up on our website at cypresshomecare.com. Look at the media button on the far right. Click on that. And the third button down is the radio show. So we've talked a lot about this upcoming event, and I want to give it one more plug. It's Get Your Groove On, Music in the Mind. It is next Thursday, November 8th, from 1 to 3 p.m. at the Valley of the Sun JCC, and that is located right there at Sweetwater and Scottsdale Road. You can sign up online at VOS, and that's Victor Oscar Sam, JCC.org/Groove On. I also want to give a plug to the Alzheimer's Association Memory Walk. That's tomorrow morning. Registration starts at 7 a.m. down at the Wesley Bowl and Plaza. That's at 17th Avenue and Washington Street. It is an extraordinary event. If you're not doing anything, please come down. Bring your animals, bring your friends, bring your family members, and walk for an incredible cause to end Alzheimer's disease. And this show has really been about music and really how it unlocks people's minds that are afflicted with this horrible disease called Alzheimer's and all kinds of dementias. So I want to punt over to, you like that football metaphor? You know, we got football on the brain. The Phoenix Cardinals Arizona Cardinals are on a bye week this week, but we do have ASU. I think they're playing Utah, right, Wes?
Utah, Sun Devil Stadium at noon.
There you go.
Yep.
Wes is a big Sun Devils fan. He's always wearing the Sun Devils uniform every Friday, getting psyched for the game. So they got Utah, and we've got Charmaine Roberts right here in our studio. We're talking Belmont Village. So what is the reason Belmont Village is an active sponsor of this presentation, and why did you guys decide to partner with Mary and her group from Giving Voice Initiative and the Valley of the Sun JCC?
Yes, thank you for that. The reason we do that, we're an active sponsor, is because Belmont Village has received national recognition for our therapeutic approach to memory care programs, including our award-winning Circle of Friends. So we're assisted living, but we also have this program called Circle of Friends. As of 2005, we launched an innovative program for those with mild to moderate memory loss and mild cognitive impairment. So the Circle of Friends program offered a new option for residents who didn't need dementia care but needed a higher level of cognitive support. So it's, the Circle of Friends program is 7 days a week. It's research-based, and part of what we enjoy about supporting these programs is that our residents, we want to make a difference in their lives, bring dignity to their everyday lives. A little more information about Circle of Friends, too, is that it received, it's got an award from George Mason University, Healthcare Quality Improvement Award, and the Argentum Senior Living Conference. We received Best of the Best Award. This program was written by a gerontologist, Beverly Sanborn, and I actually had the opportunity when I first started working for Belmont Village to teach this program. So I'm very passionate about this program. So the exciting part is that we're starting this chorus up with Sunju and our music therapy program. Very exciting.
No, that is really exciting. And I got to tell you, I've been over at Belmont Village, and it is an extraordinary community right here in the heart of Scottsdale. And, I know that you didn't ask me to plug it, but, Brian, the executive director, is an incredible guy, very personable. And the programs, the program that you mentioned, escapes my mind.
Circle of Friends.
Circle of Friends is an amazing program. And it was started by Beverly Sanborn.
Correct.
And I got a chance to have Beverly here on the show before. And I will say this one thing, and one thing I look at these communities, I always judge them not only by their appearance, but I judge them by the food. and you have an extraordinary chef. The food is unbelievable there. Unbelievable.
Thank
And,
you.
we've been talking about Alzheimer's, and, for our listening audience, there are 6 major symptoms that you should be looking for in your loved one or someone you care about. And that is, look for, memory loss, that may be disrupting their daily life, obstacles, that one may be having in planning or solving problems or completing simple tasks. If you see someone being confused about time or place, people with Alzheimer's and dementia lose track of dates. And it's not simple aging. It is really losing track of dates. If they have problems speaking or writing, withdrawing from social activities, change in mood and personalities. Those are just 6 of the ways that you can identify some signs. And, the great thing is we live here in Arizona, and there are incredible resources here. We got the Banner Alzheimer's Institute that is a co-sponsor of this event, and I had the privilege of serving on the board of directors for them for 10 years. Come out to this event. You will learn about this great company that was started by Mary, the Giving Voice Initiative. It's called Get Your Groove On, Music and the Mind, at the Valley of the Sun JCC, 1 to 3 p.m. on November the 8th. Mary, I'm going to punt it over to you and ask you if you would like to give any closing comments as we wrap up our show.
Oh, thanks, Bob. I just want to mention that we do have a new Giving Voice-like chorus on the books, on the drawing board for the Phoenix area. It's going to be called Sing for Life, and it's going to be based at Pinnacle Presbyterian Church, and it'll be directed by David Allen. And if people want more information about that, they can come to our website, where it's just in the forming process. And next week I'll be down in Phoenix, not just for Get Your Groove On, but to begin planning and launching that chorus and maybe some others in the Phoenix area. So I appreciate your time and the opportunity to be on your program today.
And that website is givingvoicechorus.org, or you can call 612-440-9660. And if they needed to reach Belmont Village, how do we get a hold of Belmont Village?
Yep, our phone number is 480-945-3600.
Well,
Thank you.
To our listening audience, have a great weekend. Come on down to the Alzheimer's Memory Walk at Wesley Bowling Plaza. Registration starts at 7 a.m. tomorrow morning. You've been listening to Health Futures. I'm your host, Bob Roth, and I've had the pleasure of having Mary Lenard, the Executive Director from Giving Voice Initiative here in the studio, and Charmaine Roberts, Community Relations Associate, Belmont Village Senior Living. Make it a great day. Have a great weekend. And tune in next Friday. I've got Lynn Sue Cooney from Hospice of the Valley here in the studio.
There's no place like home. You've been listening to Bob Roth's Health Futures. If you have questions about your own or your loved one's future health care, call Cypress HomeCare Solutions at 602-264-8009. That's 602-264-8009. Or visit cypresshomecare.com. Be sure to join Health Futures with Bob Roth every Friday at noon, right here on Money Radio 1510 and 105.3 FM.